I feel like this year we're doing a lot of demystifying. The direction we're moving is we're talking about the taboo and making it accessible.
We're ripping all band-aids off of the scary stuff. That's my favorite. Welcome to the Feminine Alchemy podcast, where we explore the truth about the feminine, the peaceful, the wild, and the visceral. I'm your host, Jaye Anne Beringer, joined by my co-hosts, Julie Dean Richards and Kayelee Rose. Each week, we explore the deep mysteries of the feminine and help listeners apply them to their daily lives in a practical way. Join us to unlock the hidden wisdoms your soul has been waiting for. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Feminine Alchemy. I am Jaye Anne Beringer, and we've got Julie Dean Richards and Kayelee Rose here with me. Say hi, ladies.
Hello. Hello.
So good to be together all again. Once again, I say this every time, but it's true. It's not always, we don't always get to be because life is lifey. This is a very fun episode because we are going to be talking all about our hopes and dreams for the coming year, as well as some lovely reminiscing from the past. So let's get started jumping in. So what are your favorite moments of 2025?
Okay, honestly, my absolute favorite that I can remember, because this has been a very full year and my brain is still kind of mushy from having a baby and being hospitalized and all of that jazz. But the thing that I remember the most and that I loved the most was our Asteroid Goddess series, and just the beautiful realizations that came out as we were sharing, as we were talking and exploring things. It was kind of magical for me. Maybe it wasn't for anyone else. I hope it was. I hope it was for the listeners, but it was super magical for me.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of great feedback on the Asteroid Goddess series and just how that just unfolded. Every single episode just unfolded so naturally and real time. You got to hear it real time. That was really cool. Julie, what's your favorite?
Oh, it was just so beautiful how we made discoveries as we're talking about it, and we're like, Vesta is even more Leo, or Hygeia is even more Virgo, which is so fun. So I did love that as well. And other things I loved about 2025, I actually loved visiting both of you. I think that was really lovely for me. Both times we did that, we did podcast episodes together. So it was fun to record with each of you in person. And it was just I was thinking about me and Jaye Anne and me being wrapped in this blanket in the middle of summer, and her lighting her sage and doing her thing, and seeing it on her side was super cool. Just fun to laugh a lot together in person. So that was really fun for me. And at Kaylee's house, it was really fun to see her amazing setup that that Lige has with all his gaming stuff, all his stuff set up. So that was super fun to record in the office. I think those were really fond memories for me. I loved many of the interviews that we did. I think Jaye Anne and I kind of talked about that on our 1 year episode more, but we did some incredible interviews this year as well, and that was a lot of fun. What about you, Jaye Anne?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be able to meet in person more than one time, which is kind of surprising, honestly, because I barely can leave my house ever. And I did a lot of traveling, a lot of meeting with individual people who are connected to the podcast, which is really cool. Some of my favorite episodes. Well, okay, the whole concept of bringing in resonant astrology and just sort of opening my mind to that is definitely one of my favorite things. I had no idea what resonant astrology was until your birthday episode. And it was just mind blown. Oh my gosh. Stepping into that as a new way of seeing things was really, really powerful for me. And I think it was true for a lot of listeners. I've gotten a lot of feedback for people who were very into the feminine, but also already into astrology and feeling more represented I think is a really wonderful thing. Yeah.
I love that so much. Thanks for sharing that.
Ooh.
Yeah, resonant astrology has just been this really beautiful unfolding for me of like tapping into feminine energy, but also exploring how feminine and masculine energy play together in the archetypes of astrology. And then to have other people, like I kept it to myself for so long. It was like this secret that I was like, do I share this with the world? Is it time? Like, do I have to know more about it before I share it with the world? Like, what do I do? And Julie was like, you don't have to have it all, just share it. I'm like, okay. So to have that out in the world even a little bit, yeah, that's one of my favorite things as well. And I love that that you loved it too.
So good. Of course, we had some awesome interviews and lots of really cool people came on. So if you don't know who came on to the podcast, like just go scroll and find out because my gosh, Julie procured some fantastic people, first of all.
Definitely.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
But let's talk about what we have coming up this next year. We have some really fantastic interviews. We have some really great ideas for what we're going to talk about. We haven't talked about it yet. What are some of the things that you're really looking forward to talking about this upcoming in 2026?
So last night I was literally procuring. So for people who don't know, we have like the sheet, the master sheet, and the master sheet has like all the episodes that we're doing and where they are in the queue and what we're thinking. And we all can all kinds of ideas to the master sheet. And we have literally so many ideas. We have like 5 years worth of ideas on this sheet. So over time, sometimes what we do like shifts and changes depending on how we're feeling. But last night I just went through and I fixed the whole sheet and I put in all the interviews I'm expecting to do before maternity leave. I put in some ideas of what we could talk about in the in-between. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a stacked year. So one of the things I want to bring up, which is super fun, is Ali Duzette has agreed to do a 3-part series with us this year, which will be super fun to have her back on. She was episode number 4, Magnetic Femininity, and she is still one of our most popular episodes that we have had. And all of us love Ali, are good friends with her. And she did tell me we'll be talking about, you know, astrology and some of the stuff she's been going through this year, her kind of like breaking down, building back up, all of those kinds of things for people who have been following her. It's going to be great. But she did tell me, she was like, you are the only one I would do this for. You guys are the only ones. I will not go on camera with anybody else. I will not do it, but I will do it with you. So we are really lucky to have Ali coming back. We're also going to be talking to Teresa Bell, who she is a hypnotherapist, but she uses human design to influence that. She has some really awesome things coming. We're going to be talking about women. My friend Laura, who she does like women's festivals, particularly she does reclamation. So she does reclamations for the crones. When you're in the crone stage or when you're in the mother stage, she does a lot of those reclamations. So she is super cool. We're going to be talking to her. We're going to be talking to Dr. Nathan Riley. He will only be the 3rd man who has ever come on this podcast. And he is an OBGYN, but he actually helps with all different kinds of births, supporting home births, supporting midwives. He's super fascinating. We're going to get into a lot of kind of deeper. He asked me to challenge him in our interview. So I will be challenging him a lot.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, so it'll be an exciting interview. We'll be doing some challenging things, but I think one of the most exciting interviews is one that Jaye Anne did that will release in the beginning of the year. You want to talk about that, Jaye Anne?
Yeah, I had a wonderful conversation with Amy Duggar King, who, if you've ever heard of the Duggars, yes, she's one of the Duggars from the show 19 and Counting. She played Crazy Cousin Amy, which is not actually her personality. And so we get to talk about her new book called Holy Disruptor and what it looks like to be a disruptor and how to break out of abuse cycles. So It's a wonderful interview. It's going to be so much fun. And that's going to be in early January, I think. So coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. And I'm excited to hear you talk to her because she didn't know a ton about her astrology, but Jaye Anne was able to inform her, and like how cool that she kind of got emotional about it, sounds like.
Yeah, it was really interesting. You guys got to listen to that part because she was like, I don't know anything about, she just got very curious and she asked me a question and she was like, whoa. So fun. Who else do we have coming on? I love that we have exclusive rights to Ali Duzette. This is my favorite.
We do. No one else can get an interview with her but us right now, which is exciting. Good for us. We're gonna have our friend Megan Farner's gonna come in on. Jocelyn is gonna be back. Jocelyn Peterson by popular demand. She's done a few episodes with us now. She did the one recently, which was quite a popular episode as well. We talked about her book, Reuniting the Woman in the Wilderness. And then she and I have a whole episode talking about the medical system, how it affects women, and the medical history. And then also Angie Check is coming on. So she's Paul Check's wife of Spirit Gym, and she's coming on to teach us how to be a shaman this year. So we're going to learn about shamanism with her. Jan, why don't you tell us about Lydia Knight and the She Center?
Yeah, Lydia Knight, she's been a health coach for years and years, and she stepped into her truth and said, hey, I have an eating disorder and I've been giving you wellness advice for all this time. And what the interesting response was on that. And then she's also talking about how she's breaking the model of electronic learning and how she's making it more accessible to women to get life-changing experiences. And by accessible, I mean free. So she's launching a really cool free app at the end of January, which is awesome. But she's just a wealth of feminine knowledge and just wonderful, wonderful stuff there. Oh my gosh. I could talk to her for like 16 hours and I had to keep it really short to only 1 hour.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm like so excited for that interview in our lineup. It's going to be so cool. I did want to say Jaye Anne and I have some amazing ramblings we are bringing you at least twice this year that we talked about plant allies, and that was really fun. I was like, we need a whole nother episode of me and Jaye Anne talking about plant allies, and we got to include Kayelee because she's been taking her herbalism course, so we got to talk about that.
I can't wait to hear what she has to say. I still like chew on that episode every so often. My brain goes to it. And what a tasty episode. The plant allies one is really good.
It is. It's so fun. And we're doing a very controversial episode about why you can't predict the end of the world, which is super fun. I feel like I love doing that, and I feel like we needed 3 more hours to do it, but it's super fun. But let's talk about some of the other topics that we might want to cover. One of them being resonant astrology. More. You want to talk about that, Kayelee?
The thing that keeps coming the most to the foreground in my work with resonant astrology right now and with talking to people about it is the feminine power line. Black Moon Lilith, Eve Point, and the deep shadow work, like very foundational shadow work that can be done by accessing those points. And so I think it'll be really fun to do an episode or maybe even a couple, depending on how deep we want to go around that, because it is so foundational. If you want to transform your life, go to your Eve Point and your Black Moon Lilith and start digging and integrating, and I can't, beyond foundational, like I can't articulate, like it's a big deal. It's such a big deal. And so I'm wanting to share that more with other people so that they can experience that big deal.
I love this. I can't wait. I'm already like going, oh, I'm going to go look at that some more. But I know too much about my Lilith and I like live my Lilith too much. It's fine. So what else are we talking about?
I was just going to say, can I just really quickly share my dream of dreams for people to interview on the podcast?
Ooh, yeah, just put it out there.
Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't happen, but I think it would be so cool. One, this will happen eventually, but we've got to get David Butler back on. I want to hear what he has to say. And I know he's been working on his book, so he's been super busy, but I'm just so stoked to hear him talk more about evidence of female deity in the New Testament and other sources of scripture. So there's that one, but also related as far as like topic, Margaret Barker. I think it would be just the coolest thing ever if we got Margaret Barker on the podcast. She's a Methodist theologian. David Butler, some of his work is based on her work. And she focuses on exactly that, evidences of female deity and how that has been hidden or erased and where we can find that. So I can feel my body just getting almost effervescent in a way at the thought of like, okay, we could get both of them and it would be fantastic. And then there's a woman that I've actually met in person, and she's doing really powerful work. Her name's Kayla Osterhoff, and she has a PhD in women's neuropsychophysiology. That's what her PhD is in. And she focuses on the intersection of women's biology, women's health, women's psychology, how it all ties together, and trying to bridge the gap for women in science, in the medical field, as far as what's known about women's bodies and how women are treated. And she has this really cool certification for practitioners, including medical doctors, where they can learn like, okay, what's really going on with women's bodies? How can we really show up and support women in all these different ways? And just the information that she has and that she has studied and that she shares, it's just super, super cool and really goes in line with some of the conversations that are already happening on the podcast, like with Jocelyn and just the medical system and things like that. So those are 3 people that are my dreams of we should interview them for the podcast.
We'll definitely work on it. I will say I do know how we can get to Margaret Barker. So I do secretly have some connection to her through Dave, who has spent time with her in real time in England. Even our friend Megan has interviewed her before. So I bet we could get her to come back. Dave and I have been texting on and off. He periodically texts me to tell me he has not forgotten us. That's like every text. He's always like, Julie, I'm so sorry. I haven't forgotten you. I owe you all these things. He's been knee deep in some stuff, but I do have to tell you guys, I want to make him come on because he's been talking about quote unquote astronomy on some other podcasts and how astronomy is related. He's an astronomy buff. All the things he's saying, I'm like, it's not just astronomy, it's astrology. And we need to talk about this, Dave. I know you want to say it's astronomy, but it's astrology. I mean, when we're talking about the precession of the equinoxes, all right, come on. So anyway, we'll see what we can do.
Astrology is the original astronomy. Like, it's what existed when there was still soul in astronomy.
And like when you assign meaning to the astronomy, it's astrology, the end. Like once you start putting meaning on the stars, it's astrology. If you're just going, okay, that star moved 5 degrees, the end, that's astronomy. But once you start deriving any kind of meaning, you're in astrological territory.
Exactly.
Anyways, that's my soapbox real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna have a whole argument with him. I'm very excited about it. He's a Gemini rising, so he'll love it, and we'll have a good time.
Oh yeah, love duality. I am looking forward to talking about grief and grief processes. I know that Kayelee was really excited about having somebody who's like death doula or something like that on.
Yeah.
And I love this idea. I have been dipping my toe in the realm of like, maybe I'll think about reading a book about a death doula, right? Like, I'm not like even close to jumping in, but it's circling my horizon to just kind of coming up on that midlife age. I should think about knowing about these things, right? In general, but also how do we, in a holistic, life affirming way, honor death, right? In its truest form. And then also there's a huge gap in our westernized culture where we just like don't process any grief at all. We just like skip it, which doesn't make it go away. It makes it fester and get worse and go to other places. So I'm looking forward to talking about grief as a way to not be stressed out. Like, a lot of anxiety is really just unprocessed grief, unfortunately. That's one thing I'm excited about. And then we were going to talk about more tarot, how it works, the origin story of tarot, really, and how it became demonized, but it's really created by the people who are demonizing it. So that's interesting and weird and fun.
Just like one tiny thing, which is on this last episode, I was listening with David Butler. I'm calling you out, Dave. They said the word tarot. They talked about tarot and the origins of it. Oh, I know. So we're going to make him talk about it with us too. Yeah. So it's coming together.
I'm super excited for that and for like our other tarot episodes, because I'm still like very much a newbie when it comes to tarot, but it's super intriguing to me. And like I recently got this like learner's set of tarot cards that has like just little like blips of really useful information on like the symbolism and interpretation and stuff like that. And I'm starting to like finally make sense of it. Because like astrology comes very naturally to me, but for some reason, tarot, even though there's so much overlap, it's like there's this little bit of a block there. And I'm thinking that it does come from like years and years and years of being told that tarot was bad, even after I knew that astrology was totally fine. Just hearing these messages of tarot's bad, tarot's bad, tarot's bad, blah. And so I'm looking forward to like processing through that, and definitely looking forward to what you two have to say about tarot in tarot episodes, but to also share my experiences as like someone who's deconstructing their false beliefs, their handed down beliefs around tarot.
I'm excited for that too. Yeah. I think that's a really good help for a lot of people who are wanting to walk through that process, because that happened for me. Like, that was one of the first things. That was years and years and years ago. So this will be really fun.
There's a couple other things on here we'll talk about. I just wanted to mention and just so the audience knows, like, everything evolves and changes over time, and sometimes we switch up some of the pieces. But I had put on the sheet, I was like, we talk about the witch wound a lot, and I guess it's probably time for us to talk about how we heal the witch wound, which has been waiting in the queue for over a year now. Actually, we have talked about talking about it. So, which goes right along with that tarot theme. But there are another couple things that I kind of snuck in here. I did sneak in on the day. So for people listening, it's an Easter egg. But the day that my baby is supposed to come into the world, there's an episode that's supposed to drop. And I wanted to do this episode about why ritual, because ritual is another one of those things that's like so important to me. I think it's so vital. It's been so lost. It's another scary one, just like tarot, just like grief, just like all the things. So I guess the direction we're moving is we're talking about the taboo this year and making it accessible. But I want to really dive into that. And I also thought it might be fun this year. We've had this on the sheet for a while, but to talk about mother blessings this year and what that is. We're talking about ritual. We're talking about these other things. It's on my mind because I'm about to have a baby and talking about my mother's blessings. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was, I think this is the year that we can talk about Hecate and talk about Hecate's cave a little bit more. So I'd be excited for that.
I was just wondering about that because I saw it on the spreadsheet. I was like, oh,
I love it. We're ripping all the band-aids off of the scary stuff. That's my favorite. That's what I do, man. I love it. And I think it's a good year for that because we'll be going into our third calendar year of the podcast. So we've got some traction, but it's also a great time. Like we were talking about with the astrology of the year. One of the biggest themes is you get on the bus or you get off the bus, make a choice. And we are going at Mach 12, whether you choose it or not. So this is one of those things. We're going to go at Mach 12. We're going to pull out all the stops with some of these deep topics because everyone needs it. That's really what it comes down to. If everybody is just like happy-go-lucky and it just wants to hear about joyful joyness, that's fine. Go somewhere else. You're going to be triggered. You're going to be challenged on this podcast because that's why you show up. Because the more that we integrate the shadow, like Kayelee was talking about, the more we're actually going to be able to heal ourselves and then see where our work in the world is in the first place. And that's a big theme of this year too, is how do you get started with your work in the world? Well, the first thing is like that phrase, that verse that says, take the log out of your eye. And the only way to do that is to integrate your shadow. So here we go. It's going to be a Scorpio themed year, I guess. I don't know. All the taboo.
It's always the Scorpio themed year for me, just with my birth chart.
That's true.
So this is like, yeah, okay, this is life.
I love it. You know, I love to talk about the taboo. I'm excited to bring it in. Even and to just let people know. I feel like this year we're doing a lot of demystifying. I mean, that's like what we do all the time. We're always demystifying things for people. But I do think this year we're ready to integrate more of that. We're going to level 2. We did level 1. Now we're going to level 2, and we're doing even more of that and piecing that together. And I wanted to emphasize that this year is all about also having perspectives. Like, we're not afraid to have any one kind of person on this podcast. Like, the idea for everyone listening is we want to broaden your horizon. Not everybody who comes on this podcast we agree with 100% on 100% of things, but we let you hear their perspective because it's important to have a myriad of perspectives and to go beyond our own perspective. Like, we have had people all over the spectrum when it comes to religious ideology, astrological ideology, when it comes to political ideology. We're not afraid to have people who are on both ends of the spectrum come and talk to you. Yes, we're doing it on topic. We're choosing our topics. We're being mindful. We're not just letting anybody come and say whatever. That's not what it's about. Of course, there are things we are not ready to talk about, but it's about being able to, like, a couple of these people we might disagree with. And I think that's also good and okay. And to like pull in those perspectives.
So true. Yeah. So we're not just going to bring in some random person that we have zero overlap with and say, hey, if you're triggered by this, you should consider your own perspective. No, it's people who are a little more nuanced than that.
Yeah, for sure. And the goal isn't to trigger or activate you. The goal is to like provide perspective and kind of open up the field to possibility so that you can become more integrated.
Exactly. What are some other hopes and dreams that we have for this year?
So can I just really quickly share a podcast episode idea that's been like percolating in the back of my mind for a while and I haven't even told you guys about?
We've never heard of this. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Go ahead, Kayelee.
Okay. So, you know, we've done an episode on sacred rage and we've touched on sacred rage multiple times. But I do, and we've also circled around this topic that I want to go more in depth into. And that is holy envy and the sacredness that can be in envy. And envy is such a like, ooh, that's not a good thing. It's such a taboo word, but it can be such a key to understanding yourself more fully and living the life that you actually truly want. And there's a life giving that comes from connecting with holy envy. So we should do an episode on that, in my opinion.
I'm fully behind you on this one. The whole episode on envy, I think, would be super powerful. I got on a soapbox a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember what episode it was, but I was just like, I need to talk about this, about envy and jealousy. So you know I'm on that train. Let's talk about all the emotions.
And actual tangible physical ways to utilize those emotions, for sure.
Yes. Not just throwing temper tantrums. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with a temper tantrum. It's just ineffective. That's all.
I was thinking about that book. My goodness, Jaye Anne knows what I'm talking about. We talked about it, the 7 Deadly Sins book.
On Our Best Behavior. I forget her name, but yeah, On Our Best Behavior, about the 7 deadly sins.
Maybe we should do a series and go through some of the, I mean, we don't have to do all of them, but talking about each of those emotions and why they're not bad, just like envy, just like we've talked about rage and anger. There are others that we could definitely incorporate into that. Even things like the laziness, that's one of them, which it doesn't, it's gluttonous, right? All those pieces and how we need all the different parts of ourselves to help us kind of reunite and reintegrate and use them in ways and just to see the nuance in these emotions. Sometimes it hurts us when we're not cognizant of it, when we don't use it in a way. It can be hurtful and destructive, just like anger can be destructive, and it can be sacred, and it can be beautiful, and it can be both, and you don't have to think of it as bad or good.
I love this. Maybe we'll do a 7 Deadly Sins integration series. That could be so fun. If that's something you want, guys, if you're listening, send us a text and say, yes, I want 7 Deadly Sins sacred integration episodes, because we'll do them. We'll do them. Thanks for throwing that out there, Kayelee.
Of course.
I think we've given people a sneak peek, letting people know we're doing the deep work here. We're going for it and demystifying the taboo from level 1 to level 2. Some stuff, we're not ready for. We're building, right? We're building up just like we were building up last year. And this year we'll continue to build that foundation for people and help them continue to integrate, because we don't want to traumatize everyone all at once or ourselves by putting too much on our plate.
Yeah, we don't want to traumatize at all. We're going to take this, we're going to do titration. We're going to do bit by bit, and we're going to respect your nervous systems.
That's right. Respecting nervous systems.
We really want to expand the reach of the podcast and have more interactions with you listeners and your friends. So please, if you know of anyone that you think might benefit from or enjoy the podcast, share away.
Yes, please. You never know who might be hurting in a way that you can't see. So that's what all this is for, right? Healing. What's one piece of other wisdom you want to leave everybody with about this upcoming year that they need to know?
What keeps popping in my head is there's layers and nuance and two sides to everything. That I think a lot of what we've talked about, and when we did our forecast episode, Jaye Anne and I kind of stayed away from doom and gloom pretty much. We did a good middle ground, but I do think a lot of people are talking doom and gloom a little bit and intensity. And I guess I will compare this to birth, since that's about what I'm about to do. But intensity is not always a bad thing. Like, ramping up the intensity doesn't mean that everything is awful. Sometimes it makes things even better. Like, sometimes when you ramp up the intensity, there's more adrenaline, emotional intensity, or there's more intimacy in that way. And so for people who maybe are worried about this year or scared about this year and scared about intensity, remember, there's always good. There's always going to be good things and the hard things. Intensity is not always a bad thing. We talked about tension. We talked about this with squares when we talk about astrology, but there's lots of different tensions that make things good. You need tension to move your body and your arms. So I just want people to know, if you put goodness into this year, just like this podcast is going to get even better this year and even way more amazing and right on time. So just know that your year will have all the things. Just because one part might be more intense doesn't mean it's not just as glorious, because it can be both.
One thing that I'm learning right now on a level that I never imagined that I would is this idea that your life and your season, it can and should look the way that it needs to for you. That there's no right way to go into this year. There's no right way to move through the season that you're in. There's no right way, no supposed to, no should. There's simply listening to your body, listening to your spirit, your soul, whatever verbiage you want to use, and living in alignment. And when you deviate, course correcting without shame and without punishing yourself. And it's okay if your 2026 is a year of slowing down and going within. And it's okay if it's a year of expansion and growth. And it's okay if it's both. And it's okay if it's none of that and it's something else entirely. Like, how you live your year is beautiful and wonderful, and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's.
So good. And I will say one thing about intensity. The good thing about intensity is you don't have to force it to happen. You're not trying to like make things do by yourself and just kind of forcing the thing along and pushing the rock up the hill. The rock automatically starts rolling up the hill and you're like, how do I direct this? So all of that momentum you've been trying to create, that's what intensity is building that, is that momentum is finally coming to a head. And that's a good thing. I don't care what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do something, you need momentum. And if you don't have to make the momentum happen, then you can focus on other things. That's good. Yeah, I think that everyone just needs to generously try to look at things with clarity over reaction. That is the biggest thing, I think, in general. And I think that, unfortunately, we're being trained to react first and act first and not ever consider more than one possibility. And for those of you who are listening, you have the inside scoop, okay? You have the insider information of my own brain, and meaning your own brain, gets to work in a way that you want it to work. So just take that step, take a breath, and don't act from reaction, but act from a place of integration. That's the invitation.
Oh, Jaye Anne, you're hitting it. You're hitting it hard. That was great. Both of those things were so great. Everyone, listen to Jaye Anne. I think that's perfect. And I would say that's very feminine. You don't have to come from reaction. You can take it in first. Like receive it. Receive it first. Think on it. See the other perspectives. Then wait to respond, which is a generator thing. But for everybody, wait to respond and wait for the invitation. Wait the moon cycle.
Which, speaking of which, it's a new moon today. It's so funny. We're recording on a new moon.
It may not be a new moon when this drops, but right now, recording, it is a new moon.
You're getting the energies fresh energies coming straight from our mouths. Actually, so fresh, we didn't know what we were going to say before we hit record. And it's powerful when it happens that way. I have no problem with that. I literally don't care. I don't have to like pre-planning stuff. Sounds like a brain hurt, but fresh, expansive energy. What else is new moon in Sagittarius but that, right?
Exactly. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much for listening. Send us a text if you want what we said you want, and interact with us however you want to interact with us. Wherever you can find us. We've got lots of links everywhere, and we just love hearing from you about the podcast. So have a great 2026.